following is a production of Watlington Shires and Pierce Productions.
So what do you get with Sabine State Bank? Well, Steve Waters and his staff, they know you. They know you by name, and they celebrate the successes when they finance your dreams. But Sabine State Bank is also a fully modern bank with 24-hour online access to your accounts and services ranging from teller services to some of banking's more complicated things. Looking for a place to grow? It's Sabine State Bank. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Coach Rick Meeks Show, live from the pizzeria, brought to you by Sabine State Bank. We have a huge studio audience of 4 people who are surprised that we're here, but you're not, and that's what matters. And you know, there's a long time ago before streaming and all, and the whole world at night, you had 30-minute sitcoms and all, and like the show Full House, and then about once a season there'd be a very special episode of Full House where something crazy. This is a very special episode of the Rick Meeks Show. We'll get to why it's special here in a little bit. But as we begin, we're just going to take care of our normal business. First of all, Coach, how you feel?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. And I look great. I wore this old radio shirt from about 2000. This is a 25-year-old shirt.
I've got one somewhere. Mm-hmm. Back of my closet.
Yep. You're used as a towel. And
I'm wearing my Mudbugs shirt.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
It's crawfish season.
No, it's hockey.
Oh.
Dude, It's awesome. If you've never been, you go over to the Hearst Memorial Coliseum in Shreveport.
Yeah.
That's where we would go see hair band concerts.
I figure you're a crawfish. You know, it's about to be Fat Tuesday, a week from tomorrow.
True.
A week from tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do that too.
You're on to that. That's good. But we just finished basketball in center, and now we're moving on. We have with us in the next segment our soccer coach. We'll hear all about soccer,
the man.
Coach Meeks, the best-dressed man in East Texas. But we're going to hear about soccer. What about the rest of the sports going on? Just kind of an update on all the other things going on.
Kicking off all the spring sports. You know, softball, baseball had tournaments last weekend. I think baseball went 2-2. They won 2 on Thursday against West Rusk and Harmony, and then Friday lost to Tatum and Dangerfield. So had a good start in the Tatum tournament. Girls softball, I believe they were actually coming to the tournament we were hosting in Henderson, but because of weather, they ended up going to Nacogdoches, and I believe they went 3-1 on the weekend.
Wow. I
know for sure they went 2-1. I think they won again on Saturday to go to 3-1. So they had a good tournament. They really should have had more games in by now, but obviously the weather. The first few weeks of softball and baseball, it's almost an automatic in terms of you're going to have weather issues. So they have not been able to play the games that they've wanted to up to this point. But they had a good weekend last week and a good start there. I think boys golf, I was looking a little while ago, I was checking on them because today was this week was the week we were hosting our tournament. So Coach Spikes is doing all that now with Coach Huffstetler moving on to Pittsburgh.
Right.
And our boys team was first today.
Really?
And Logan was the medalist.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I believe I read that right. They might have been second. Anyway, they played well. Logan Horton won the tournament as the medalist. So they had a good showing. So the girls play on Thursday in center. So I believe track kicks off their first track meet this week. They are headed to Tatum on Thursday. So they're going to be going, and so it's springtime. There's a lot of stuff going on.
On your mark, get set, go.
A lot of moving parts. So
we remind everybody the head softball coach. Who is she? How long has she been here?
Coach Hendricks. She's been here for 2 years.
This is her second.
Mm-hmm. We hired her from Carlisle 2 years ago.
Right. And enjoyed having her on the program last year. She was fun to talk to.
Yes, sir.
And then secondly, new baseball coach. Mm-hmm. What do you hear? How is that going? You hear from him about the team and the parents and the fans, or vice versa?
Right. I think a lot of excitement. Coach Ellis, we were able to get him from Bullard. a lot of history with Coach Ellis in baseball, whether it was him playing or him coaching. And
he's one of those dudes, if you Google, you'll have some reading.
You'll have a lot of reading. You'll have a lot. So you'll be occupied for a while. But I think there's a lot of things going well. They're excited. And so he's been very pleased up to this point as well. Talked to him Friday or Thursday night and Friday after all their games, and so he's very optimistic about what lies ahead. And even though we're in a tough baseball district, I think he still feels good about the opportunities that team has.
And last note, the basketball season is over. We drew Silsbee first round, which was on us. We didn't have to draw them. But Silsbee, as good as they are, you said eliminated that following Friday.
Yes. Yeah, they got beat in the next round by Houston Wheatley. So I think, Region 3, 4A Division 2 is a very tough region.
And just in case you hadn't been following it, this year the playoffs were done differently. There's one fewer game to get to state. And once you finish your district season, the two smallest qualifiers go Division 2. Mm-hmm. The big schools go Division 1. Well, we're a pretty big small school, but we went small school, and that's supposed to take care of drawing Houston Wheatley in the small school bracket. How can they be small 4A schools?
And I think them and Houston Washington went small school.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they might be playing each other.
I think Houston Washington was having to play Hudson, didn't they?
Yes.
Maybe. So they were big.
I think they went big school. But
Houston Wheatley is playing another inner-city Houston school this week. So they have worked their way back to playing each other. So I'm sure they were in the same district.
Yeah.
Which
just
all three of
before.
those. Yeah, all three of those. So anyway, they're both small school. But it's all off enrollment, and it could differ from year to year. I don't know. UIL is going to do it next year because it's the second year of the realignment. Mm-hmm. But after that, I don't know what direction they're going to go. I think they might stay with it. I don't know. I know it's created a lot of talk, and I don't think it generated the type of format that a lot of the coaches were after, or what they thought it was going to be when it was first announced. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Maybe they stay with it, and coaches eventually end up liking it. I don't know. I could see them finally moving to the format that football currently does. I know the biggest holdup there is travel, because you're traveling on Tuesdays and Fridays, not just one day a week like you do in football.
Sure.
So I know that's the biggest holdup, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what UIL does a year from now when the next realignment comes around and what they do with the other team sports.
Right. It's fascinating. It's like so many things in the world. This is a time full of change.
Yes.
And if you're not paying attention daily, you end up surprised. Well, that's our opening visit with Coach. All our Coach Talk all season long brought to you by our friends just down the road at JBA Financial, John Black Associates. That's what the JBA stands for. They're in Longview, they're in Center, and they are a great group of folks to trust your financial world, them and your whole family. So thank you for that all season long. We'll be back with Gerardo Martinez right after this. So what do you get with Sabine State Bank? Steve Waters and his staff, they know you. They know you by name, and they celebrate the successes when they finance your dreams. But Sabine State Bank is also a fully modern bank with 24-hour online access to your accounts and services ranging from teller services to some of banking's more complicated things. Looking for a place to grow? It's Sabine State Bank. Ricky Andrews Construction is your choice for construction projects, large or small. He's the local expert in tile work, and he'll do a painting job for you of any size. And give him a chance to look at your kitchen or your bathroom for a complete remodel. Ricky can help you take the run-of-the-mill bathroom and turn it into something special just for you. Give him a call or find him on Facebook. Rough Rider basketball sponsors include Abundant Love Ministries, Come Worship With Us, Fast Tax Service, Get Your Taxes Done Fast, Bird Forestry, Your Forest, Their Focus,
Tomlin Insurance, your progressive insurance dealer, and Andrews Construction. See what Ricky can do with your kitchen or your bathroom. These sponsors are proud of the Rough Riders and Lady Riders.
Welcome back, everybody. We're at the pizzeria with the Coach Rick Meeks Show. It's brought to you by Sabine State Bank. Today, I'm enjoying pizza with, what's the vegetable that's this crust? Not broccoli. It's cauliflower. Cauliflower. It doesn't look like cauliflower because it's brown, but it's really good. It's one of my favorite toppings, but on a different crust, which is, I hear better for you. What are you having?
I also got cauliflower crust, but I got the barbecue chicken on it.
But you got the standard pepperoni.
Yeah, standard, classic. Way to go.
You have it all right here at the pizzeria. Also want to say thank you to Ace Hardware, Covington Lumber, and Center Tire, who are our sponsors for every sport from what do you call that? Meet the Riders at the end, all the way through the banquet at the end of the season. We appreciate their work with us and have been. Two of them have been with us since we started doing live streaming. So thank you to you guys. All right. Coach G and the soccer program are way into the second half of their district, and the voice of Center Soccer, Stephen Shires, is going to visit a little bit with Coach G, and I'm going to go listen and learn. I'm going to take notes.
Yes. Well, so like Chris said, I mean, the one unfortunate thing about is the basketball and soccer runs in, but we're going to be able to get us in the home stretch here and then on into the playoffs. So I was looking. I mean, we're sitting in a solid third place. This is a district of doom. As far as soccer goes, I mean, with Kilgore is always a state power, and then they added Pine Tree, and they seem to be in this kind of the same.
Yeah, I mean, the way you stated it, definitely a district of doom is it fits it very well, and I think Pine Tree got the first taste of it last week of how dangerous it could be. The coach there is a good friend of mine, and that's one of the things that we talked about because he looked at the district last year, and he was like, man, I don't know what's going on in our district. I was like, look, we got small schools, but they're very competitive.
Yeah.
And they actually got they were surprised by Sabine last week, and they lost 4-1. And Pine Tree is a strong favorite to make a deep playoff run, if not win the whole thing.
Right.
But that just shows how competitive our district is, and I mean we have Kilgore, like you mentioned, has always been a powerhouse, but I mean we're right behind there, behind them skill wise, and how we're structured as well. So it definitely surprised Pine Tree. I could say that, especially them coming from one of the toughest districts as well in 5A.
Right.
So that that's a lot to say for them as well. But I think it's gonna go down to the last game of the season, I think.
Right, and so you've got so Kilgore. I guess because of the Pine Tree loss, Kilgore has vaulted in the top spot according to Max Preps.
Yes, so they tied versus Pine Tree, and even though they lost the shootout, they still get 1 point out of 3.
Right.
But it's a tie. So mathematically speaking, whenever Pine Tree lost to Sabine, that Kilgore's up by 2 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
But that's something that can change, week to week. But as of right now, if we were to go into playoffs, I mean, Kilgore would win the district, Pine Tree second, us third, and then Henderson fourth.
Right. And so I think we were talking before we came on the air that, I mean, so Henderson's right there, and I was going to make a crack about that with Meeks here.
Yeah.
But you said that at this point, because of the way things have played out, Sabine is more of a threat to us than Henderson, since we've already
we've already finished playing Henderson. Actually, Henderson can kind of help us by helping themselves by taking care of Sabine. So the way we have 4 games left, and so mathematically, if we run the table and take care of our business, we'll be fine. But if somehow we aren't able to, the bare minimum is we had to win 2 games of the last 4. If we can't even do that, we need a little bit of help.
All right. Well, let's talk about the opposite. Let's say we run a table and we get 4 victories. That'll be 1 against Pine Tree tomorrow night, and then 1 against Kilgore at the end.
Correct.
Well, does that put us? Can we move on up and displace those guys?
And that's what I was telling my guys today. I was like, if we turn around and just run the table, take care of our business, we still have to have a favorable score to legitimately say that we can win district, be district champions. The math is there. the last couple of games were close. So also to get the score of it being in our favor is also feasible.
Right.
But the only one that is obviously, we dug a hole in versus Pine Tree. All the other games have been closed by one score, give or take. But we could. And I tell my guys, I was like, I like those odds, especially when it's in our hands and we can control it. So there's no better feeling than that.
Okay, good. So I mean, so there's a lot of moving parts here.
Yes.
And so we could end up, I guess at this point with 4 games left, we could end up district champion, or we could end up outside looking in.
Yeah, and
depending on.
Yeah, and I mean the addition of Pine Tree kind of threw a wrench at it into our district, and having such a competitive team that it definitely made things a little bit more interesting, and there's going to be a lot of math going on because of how every team, because what seven teams in district, and so 5 of those 7 are very strong teams.
Right.
So it definitely makes things a little bit interesting in the home stretch.
Of course, you got to take every opponent seriously.
Yes.
I mean, and so we've got Pine Tree. Like I said, we go up and go there, right? It's there.
Yes.
And then we have Tatum at home.
At home, correct.
And then
coming Friday.
Right, and then trying to remember, we have Sabine at home.
Sabine at home, and then
Kilgore.
And then Kilgore away, and that's where we go and finish the district play.
Right. So I guess what I'm hearing you say is, if Henderson knocks out Sabine, then that kind of eases. We feel better about playoffs. Otherwise, we have to take care of business against Tatum and Sabine for sure.
Yeah, because see, Sabine also tied with Carthage.
Yeah.
And even though they won in the shootout, they still tied them, so that puts them -1.
Right.
So that kind of hurts them, even if they somehow are into the play.
Right.
Because our math is always going to be up by 1, regardless. And then even if for some reason we do end up tying mathematically, then you go into goes in favor and then goes against. So we got a few things into our district minutes that give us that liberty to still keep it in our hands, because what you don't want is a coin flip.
Yeah, exactly.
Or having to play another match as well. So
yeah. And Sabine is always tough.
I mean, they are. I mean, they're a small school, but when it comes to soccer, for some reason, a lot of these kids, even what helps them is that they're so close to Longview.
Yeah.
Or actually between Longview and Tyler. So a lot of those kids, even though they go to a small school, they play soccer year round.
Yeah.
So they have some talented kids out there. And a lot of people think that just because they're a 3A school, that they're not going to have those type of kids. They actually have 2 kids that are part of the farm system for FC Dallas.
Oh, yeah.
And those kids are very talented, and it's what really makes them special, because every other kid understands their role. And then those 2 kids are what carry the team. So it's made it very interesting.
Right. So what we need to do when Sabine comes to town, folks need to come out and support the Rough Riders and give us that big boost.
Yeah,
we need
it. And I mean the weather's going to be favorable, I think that it would definitely be something that the community can come together. We don't charge at the gate, so it's but you can come through, support us in the stands, concession stands, and all that good stuff. But definitely more people in the crowd, the better it would be for the kids to give it their all.
All right, good. Let's take a minute and talk about the team, because we haven't had you on this year, right? I don't think, or did we early on?
I think early on.
Yeah. So tell us about the team this year. Who do we have in the goal?
Well, we still have Pablo Huichapa. He's been my starter since he was actually last year when he was a sophomore, and this year he's a junior. He's been my starter, and he's been in goal every game except when was it, versus Carthage, where he had a collision versus Kilgore that kind of kept him out a couple of days. But luckily, our backup Kevin Maldonado did a great job of coming in and filling in and taking care of business versus Carthage, and so that's what we have as far as on goal. I have one senior in my back line, one of the center backs, Josue Rafael, who's been a varsity starter for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And the rest of the guys in that back line are fairly young. I have 2 sophomores.
Oh, wow.
Jonathan Gomez and Christopher Gomez, which are the Gomez twins. starting for us this next game, because my starting lineups tend to move around depending on whatever the tactics and the strategies that we based off of who we're playing. And then we also have Miguel Rodriguez, who's a sophomore as well, and we do interchanging with Andrew Hunt as well, he's a junior. And then my midfielders this year, I have Said Lopez, who's a sophomore. Then I have Agustin Alvarado, who's the other defensive mid, and he is a junior. Then infamous Danny Flores, who's my number 10, and he is special as they come.
Right. We know what he is. He's the maestro.
The maestro, yes. And he definitely loves it and definitely takes part in all of that.
Yes.
And then we have.
I'm so excited to watch him play.
Oh, I have the privilege of getting to watch him in practice, and everything you see in the game, we get to see that in practice all the time, and that's something special to be a part of. Because moving forward, who knows? Danny has so many options. And it's going to be solely up to him on what he wants to do with his talent.
Yeah.
And then we have another set of twins, which it's Gene Caravel and Edgar Caravel, which Edgar is one of my starting midfielders as well. And then Guillermo Araujo, who is my striker, also with Luis Martinez, who's a freshman at that. And Alexis Bob Ramirez. He is my other striker, which is he's a junior, and that's the cast of kids that are shifting based off of game to game, and so it's been somewhat of a slow season because we've had issues schedule wise.
Right. I noticed that
seemed
like we didn't have as many games as we normally do.
A
or
lot
matches
of that,
as we normally do.
A lot of that was attributed to other schools losing their coaches or having coaching changes and stuff like that, and some of the schools didn't uphold the schedule from the previous season, and so I kind of had to scramble a couple of times to find us games, and then also we played 3 games prior to Christmas break, and then we had Christmas break, and then we had to kick it off again, and that kind of like hurt us a little bit. But I think what hurt us the most is the level of competition.
Right.
That's really what kind of hurt us, and it's kind of hard to find good competition close by that are not involved with the teams that we play.
Yeah, yeah.
And because you don't ever want to give an edge to nobody.
Oh, sure,
you know? And and I think I need to do a little bit better job of finding us tougher competition, even if we do have to travel an extra 30 minutes or maybe an hour, because it does those type of miles do add up. And it in a positive way.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of something that's hurt us a little bit this year.
Well, very good, Coach. Like I said, I always look forward every year
to
coming out and doing the soccer games. We love doing it so much. I wish we could do more.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out how to do that. We're trying to get another team that can cover some a little bit and come out. But we love it, and I love what you do. I love those young men. They play so hard.
Yeah, I know my kids. My kids definitely ask me all the time. I'm like, when you guys are going to come out, and they're very understanding as well, because they know there's only 2 of y'all, and there's only so much that you guys can cover, and but they are definitely very thankful and very grateful for when y'all do come out.
Yeah, like I said, we're looking to figure out how to do more of it as we grow, but always we're going to catch the stretch run here.
Right.
And get senior night and get those things, and then we look forward to getting into the playoffs.
Oh, yes, we're definitely, going to fight to the end for sure. These guys are always no quit attitude, and they're going to fight to the last second. I mean, we've had a couple of games where we had to come back, from being down. And it's like I tell them, I'm like, all you need is 1 minute and 30 seconds to score 2 goals.
Yep.
So if you have that type of mindset, you're never out of a game.
I wonder if our district, with it being so difficult, that that's going to make us even tougher in the playoffs.
I think it is because that showed last year. We ran into a little bit of bad luck in the second round of the playoffs last year, and it's kind of like we went. I mean, I don't know. We just couldn't hit the side of a barn, to be honest, and a few other things. Yeah, and it happens. It's just
you just don't want it to happen in the playoffs.
Exactly, and sometimes how they in sports, sometimes you hit a stride, and sometimes the ball just bounces your way.
Right.
And you need a little bit of luck, not just talent, at times to get over that hump. And last year, I think it kind of like bit us in the butt a little bit. But I think that because we are playing such a hard district, that once you get into the playoffs, you're battle ready.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. All right, Coach, we look forward to it, and we will see you out. We'll get a report.
Yes, sir.
And on how we did it with Pine Tree, but then
Yes.
we anticipate being out this Friday to cover us in senior night.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm looking forward to seeing y'all. And I know my guys will be excited to see you guys roll up and set everything up and pick the man of the match and all those great things.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, Coach. We'll see.
Yes, sir.
Look forward to it. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. That's Coach G with our soccer update. We get ready, excited about covering the stretch run of the season. We'll take a break. When we come back, it'll be more with Chris Wallington.
So many things get started at Pizzeria. You start your party off with a pizza from the pizzeria. You get your celebration started. You get your season started. For a lot of us, our passion with pizza started at the Pizzeria, a tradition since 1960s. It's the Pizzeria just off the square in Center.
Wallington Shire's Pierce Productions says thank you to the folks who sponsor these fine area teams. They include Blake Furniture, what you want, when you want it. Sandy Cox State Farm, she's your good neighbor. Porticool, home of the new Apex Series fans. And Batters Law Firm, if your case matters, it's got to be Batters. Thank you for helping us celebrate Shelby County's athletes.
Everybody, welcome back. It's the Rick Meeks Show, live here from the Pizzeria, brought to you by Sabine State Bank. I just had a piece of pizza, and it was good.
You would, but you finally got around
I
to
got
it. Had
So what I want to do, Coach, is we'll have a segment where we kind of give our final thoughts. As everybody knows, that you have taken a job in Henderson as the athletic director there, and I'm very happy for you. I think coaching is kind of like you want to buy high and sell low, right? I mean sometimes. It's not a surprise, and when you have somebody really good, you want other folks to be, trying to hire you away.
yeah,
And,
if
you have a good
nobody's
program.
interested in your coach, it's
Yeah,
probably a problem.
Probably, yeah. But what I want everybody to do, I thought would be interesting because everybody kind of got the message out from the ISD, thanking you for all that. And
Right.
That was kind of how, because a lot of times, when you do a coaching, you're getting a new coach. It's because the performance of the prior one hasn't been stellar, and they've gone to be reassigned somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
That's not the case here. So it kind of caught everybody, and so I wanted to give you an opportunity to let everybody know kind of what was going on and what your thinking was and the steps, and then we'll talk more about everything else. But I thought everybody would like to hear kind of the story.
I think you hit a lot of it. Prior to this news, our defensive coordinator, Coach Huffstetler, was hired in Pittsburgh as their athletic director, head football coach.
Not a surprise.
No, it's not at all. Not at all. He was definitely ready for that position. I knew it was going to happen at some point, as bad as I hated it.
I just miss having him around to be able to talk to him about
That's
it.
right.
He was supposed
That's
to be
right.
going with us to these soccer games as a commentator.
I know.
Ran off.
So he threw a damper on that. When things are going the way that they are, then people want that for their program and their community. Henderson reached out to me the first part of December. And at that point, listened to them, but was just not extremely interested at that point. And there was some things that went along the next few weeks that we continued to talk about. But the biggest issue there, at that point in time, Henderson was looking for an athletic director and a superintendent. I wasn't comfortable taking the job without a superintendent in place, and not knowing who my boss was going to be. And so they hired a superintendent, reached back out, wanted to know if I would be willing to visit with Mr. Brian Bowman, who is who they hired, and you know, and that was something I always learned from my dad. Doesn't hurt to visit, because at the end of the day, what was best for Lacey and my boys and Emmy, I needed to make sure we were doing. And so visited with him, and after talking with him a good bit and just hearing his vision for athletics and extracurricular and what his mindset is for the school district there, then I felt like that conversation needed to progress. And so, you know, we talked a couple more times, and everything kind of just transpired into me accepting the role. So, you know, I feel like that partnership with him is going to be very strong. I feel like it's going to be really good. And, you know, that's one of the most important ones within a school district. So,
I mean, I didn't know. I mean, you've got history in Henderson, right?
We do.
Yep.
You know, I that was my first job out of college. And I was able to go work for my dad there. I was there from 2007 to 2012.
I mean, I think that's important.
Yeah.
I think that makes a difference.
Started down on the freshman staff, worked my way up to a position coach, and then by the time we left there in 2012, we had won a state championship, and I was the offensive coordinator. And so there is some history there, you know, which I think is why, you know, once again they kind of zeroed in on me.
For this position, yeah.
For this position,
Kind of like we want
know.
you. We're not talking really to anybody else. We want
Correct.
you.
That's right. And it's a you know, it's because of what you guys already said, because of the things that have happened here over the, you know, the last 4 years, and what we've inherited to where we're at, not just as a football program, but an athletic department and a community. Because there's no question that our athletic department, just like any athletic department, any town, will ignite the community. And I think that's been the toughest thing for me through the whole process. Like I was sharing with Chris a little while ago, you know, it's like I told the kids the day that I told them I was taking the job, that I was getting hired. You know, at some point our journey together is always going to end.
Right.
You guys are going to graduate, or like in this instance, I have accepted another job. So our journey within the department is always going to end. Our journey in the relationships that we build with our kids is not. It's just like Diaz in here just a little while ago. I mean,
Right.
he graduated, but that relationship is not ever going to start. And me and him having a conversation about what he's doing now, how his family's doing, like that stuff doesn't stop. So as hard as that was at that point in time, you know, that's facts. The part of it that was very hard for me and Lacey is the community side of it. Center has been a place that bought into my family. Center is a place that bought into my vision for an athletic department and got behind it. And you can see what happens when you have everybody on the same page. Our church family is great. You guys are unbelievable. And so that side of it has been really hard for me and her, because we have some unbelievable friendships within this community.
And you will keep, and that won't change either.
And hopefully so, but it still makes it tough, because we've loved living in Center. Like, Center has been a great place for us and our family. So, you know, I mean, we've got to kind of go recreate it and do it again, and that's hard. It's hard on my personal kids to have to pick up and start
Right.
over.
Yeah.
But it'll make them stronger. It'll make them better. It'll be good for them to adapt to adversity as they continue to grow. So, you know, so it's definitely a bittersweet situation for us.
Elaborate a little bit more on how we're awesome. I'm kidding. Don't do that.
No, but I'm serious. Hey, do you remember the first conversation we had about this? Because I told you.
Golden Corral. I mean, TNR
that-
State some more. I think we
were,
visited,
but we were passing on campus, and I said, "Hey, I would like to look into this," and you said, "We have actually been talking about
Yeah,
this. I
that's
think
right.
we can make this happen."
Yeah.
And then we met
then
at
we went to
TNR's,
TNR. Okay.
and we talked through it. And so
I was still on staff. I mean,
Yeah.
you hadn't even really coached your first game as
Right.
as an athletic director. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So But I mean, just the way you guys have, unselfishly given your time for our kids and coaches and school district and what you do just to help our kids be able to be seen for the people that cannot travel. That's unbelievable. And the support y'all have given me, love it.
Well,
It will always be appreciated.
we will miss you. In our extended Something to Smile About segment, we'll take turns. What's something that you have smiled about the whole time that Coach Meeks has been here?
Well, I mean, I just enjoy. I mean, I've had a relationship of some level with every coach we've had going back with. I mean, Kevin Goodwin is like a member of my family, still is. And then with Bowman, I mean, he and I got to know each other, and Scott, we knew each other from because he was from Tenon Hall, but
Yep.
and so, I mean, I'm just getting to know you and your family. It's just you're just an awesome guy, and I'm like I said, I'm very sad that you're not going to be our football coach anymore or athletic director, but I'm also very happy for you.
Thank you.
That you're like I said that you're progressing in your career.
Right. Well, thank you.
And it works both ways. You say we have bought into what you're doing, and we have, but it's vice versa. You've completely bought into all this, not just the show, but our access to the sidelines and to the press boxes and to the coaches and to, most importantly, you. It's you're for it, and
Right.
if we say, hey, could you help us with it? The answer is always yes. And most athletic directors in the past have been that way, but not quite to the same level. So I'm
Yes,
hoping
sir.
the next guy will be. The thing for me is you and your staff have implemented this cultural change with the pillars that has worked. I
Right.
mean, the community's bought in, but that's only because the students have bought in, and it shows on the field, and that hence community buy-in. But it started with that. There's something bigger at work here than X's, O's, and scoreboards.
Right.
Correct.
I assume you'll start that day one with Henderson, but man, I just hope that the next person waters that ground and continues it in some way and doesn't just dig
Whether we
it
call
all up.
whether we call it 5 pillars or the 5 columns or
Right.
or something
Or
different.
maybe they have 3
Yeah.
or 7, but as long as it's kind of the same idea,
Correct.
it would be nice.
I'll just say this because you go to you have young men and young ladies at this age. I mean, you go to school. In my opinion, if you come out of high school with being able to read well and being able to kind of think for yourself and understanding that there's a procedure and process to things. I mean, I think that's what you succeeded. But for me, I mean, I still, even to this day, my coach was Coach Bill Bryant, and he said, plan your work and work your plan. Okay, and that's kind of that's like the 6th pillar.
Right.
But I mean, that's what I do. And my
That's just the
professional
process.
my
That's our
prof-
5th pillar.
yeah,
That's just
yeah,
the process.
yeah.
You hear his voice.
Yes, I mean, and that's exactly what I do. I mean, when I've got a case, I mean, I look at it, I make my plan, and then I execute.
Yep.
And I learned that I didn't learn that in English class.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, like we've talked about many times before, not every day is going to be a great day. There's going to be a day where I do the equivalent of throwing 3 interceptions. But you can't just lay down and quit.
Right. You got to keep going.
Yeah, and
that's what I love about our pillars. Not one pillar talks about the scoreboard, and that's why I love athletics. I told somebody today that there's plenty of days that I go through work and I'm like, I could go do something else. There's got to be something less stressful. But at the end of the day, deep down, it's really not what I want to do because I want to use athletics as a vehicle to teach kids about life. I think it is the last thing we have in schools now until something drastically changes in high schools, that it's the last thing we have to teach them that. High school is so watered down now, kids are spoon-fed. You have to try to fail to not get through school because we allow so many chances. We allow all these retests and retakes and this and this. Athletics doesn't work that way. You better practice and show up and compete. Because when that game with Silsby the other night finished, that's it. Like, there's no coming back sometime this week and saying, hey, I need to retest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't work that way. That's not how life is. And athletics is the last defense of that. And our pillars really helped guide our kids with that. And, you know, I hope they heard me as I continued to talk to them that day that, you know, these are things that they can continue to use on a daily basis. No matter who comes in next, there's going to be somebody that comes into my seat now for them. And I hope it is the best person in the world. I hope they continue to build off of the foundation we laid, because our kids deserve that in center, and they continue, and they deserve to continue to have success. And no matter what his vision is and whatever culturally he wants to do, our pillars were things that they can apply to everything that he wants to do without any conflict, because it just betters them as a person and betters their mindset and helps them, you know, attack practice and attack the day and attack class and attack life when they graduate. And so, you know, that's the beauty of athletics. And, you know, we need to keep it as pure as we possibly can moving forward with all the changes coming in the landscape of athletics. But we got to continue to fight for that.
It's the only guy that's ever been on staff that's been able to, I mean, probably everybody feels the way you feel, but he's been able to articulate it to us, to folks that aren't in the program, and most importantly, the players themselves. So I will definitely miss that, and that's obviously something to smile about. We're going to hear from Wyndham Family Dental. Y'all don't go away. When we come back, there are some important things going on the broadcast team that you'll be interested in tomorrow. So we need to kind of get you ready for that. That's how we'll wrap it up. But we'll say goodbye to
Thank
you.
you
You
very
have
much.
places to be, Coach.
Appreciate you guys
Yeah.
very much.
I don't know what we'll do. It's called the Coach Meeks Show. We'll have.
I don't know.
Well, I've
our
already
lawyers
thrown
will have to
I've
talk
already
to your
thrown the
lawyer.
offer out there.
Yes.
We might not can do it weekly, but once a month, Tijuana is in Henderson. We
Yeah.
still have
That's
to
right.
coach a show.
That's right. So
I like that idea.
this
So
may not be the last Rick Meeks show.
we
It may
gotta
not.
make it happen.
And I'm just going to end one thing, and I told you this before. I said I was always raised. My mom and dad said when no matter what it is, when you get something, when you leave it in better shape than you found it. And I think you clearly have done that, Coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were kind of reeling because it was with COVID and kneeling and all that stuff going on. There was just and you came in and
Recentered things.
Yeah, and we are in so much better position we are today than the day you got
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you. All right. That's why it was a very special episode of the Rick Meeks Show. We'll be right back to wrap it up. Don't go away.
Excuse me there, son. I'm new to town, and I only have one tooth in my head. Where do I go to get it repaired?
Oh, you're looking for Wyndham Family Dentistry. Clayton Paul, Anna Joy, Danny Paul, any of the Wyndhams will fix you up.
Oh, thank you kindly.
Abundant Love Ministries is a place for everyone to worship. If you've ever been to Abundant Love Ministries, you know that Pastor Marlon Cloudy is unlike anybody else. The music, uplifting, and right next door to the church, their life center is unparalleled. A great place to worship, Abundant Love Ministries. Bird Forestry is the landowner's company. Maybe you have 60 acres you'd like to harvest. You call the birds. If you have twice that much that you'd like to seed, make the same contact. Or maybe you have 1,000 acres you need managed. Whatever the case, it's your forest, the birds' focus. Bird Forestry in Shelby County. So you know about Tomlin Insurance Store and the services that Matt, Mallory, and Gracie provide.
Yep, they're fine people.
Yeah, but you need to focus on the services, life, home, and auto, but also farm
Tractors and ATVs.
and recreation.
Motorcycles and boats and golf carts and snowmobiles if you're Looney Tune crazy.
And they work with the nationally known Progressive brand. I guess you know those folks.
Looney Tune crazy.
It's okay. Your folks are Matt and Mallory Snyder at Tomlin Insurance Store.
Time to wrap it up here from the pizzeria. It's sad to lose Rick Meeks and his family. We both go to church with him and work alongside him. It's been a good 4 years. We wish him well. But tomorrow, even though there's nothing going on in the playoffs for Center, we there's a lot in Shelby County. Our buddy Larry Pierce will be in Rusk, Texas. We'll be in Nacogdoches, Texas. We'll both be on a different network, the NFHS network. Can you basically explain that? NFHS?
Well, hopefully everybody knows it's on
I
there,
hope by now, but if you're looking and you
it's a
don't.
separate subscription service. You go for $11 approximately a month. You get to go and watch all the playoff games, because playoff games are owned by the UIL, not by the local school district,
Right.
and they have contracted with this organization,
National Federation of High School Network.
Yep. Go there. You can find it. You can actually find that's where you'll find both us and Larry's game with Shelbyville.
Tenaha and Shelbyville in round 3, which is the Sweet 16. Only 16 teams left in those respective divisions of 2A. We'll be carrying Tenaha as they play Grapeland. We'll be in Nacogdoches. Our broadcast starts at about 6:45, tip-off at 7 on NFHS. Larry, 30 minutes earlier in Rusk, his pregame show will start a little before 6:30. Wright Chrysler Dodge Jeep show. That's what ours is as well. The game starts at 6:30. It's Shelbyville against Normandy, the Normandy Panthers. We're looking forward to it. You get to that level, and there is an excitement that it's just fun to be a part of. So we hope you'll join us, one or both. Once you get the subscription, you can jump back and forth. You can kind of watch them both. So that'll be fun. That wraps it up from the pizzeria with Coach Rick Meeks, and literally wraps it up with Coach Rick Meeks. Like we said, we'll both be on the NFHS tomorrow. Until then, we hope that your rest of your day until tomorrow is nothing but net. We'll see you.
The proceeding was a presentation of Watlington, Shires, and Pierce Productions. We hope you have an awesome and blessed night. God bless America, God bless our troops, and God bless each and every one of you.